What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Matt Talk Sports, and I am back with another video. And I am back yet again, breaking down another full week of the NFL slate. And this time we are in week 5, and Rams versus the 49ers just wrapped up a couple hours ago. 49ers plus 7.5, plus 8.5 tonight. Big dogs. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall all out. Brock Purdy out as well, and Mac Jones moves to 3-0 as a San Francisco 49er starter. And I used to say there is no difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, except there is a difference, and in a way you might not expect. Mac Jones looks like the better, and honestly might be definitively, statistically wise, the better quarterback than Brock Purdy in the year 2025. And the only reason why Brock Purdy is going to play when he gets back and healthy is because the 49ers fucking paid him so much money. And Mac Jones looked pretty goddamn good tonight. And not only did he look pretty goddamn good tonight, he looked pretty goddamn good on one leg tonight. He was insane throwing the ball to the tight end who was just completely getting open and getting touches from whoever's at quarterback for the 49ers. Kendrick Bourne had over 100 yards today. Demarcus Robinson was cooking. Christian McCaffrey reverting back the clock, being ever so great, not only just in real life, but in fantasy. He looks like a player I should have drafted, and instead I stayed away because I was worried about his injuries. And now he's just severely cooking. And my biggest takeaway from this game is how the fuck are the 49ers 4-1? They are not a 4-1 team, but yet they find a way to win and prevail. And they are a gritty team, they're a gutsy team, and they find a way to win. And that's mostly due to Kyle Shanahan. And if the season ended today, Kyle Shanahan would be the coach of the year. He is exceeding expectations, constantly exceeding injuries that are would be plagues to any other team, and he is completely demonstrating he is one of the very best coaches in the NFL. And my God, it is impressive because I have been fading the 49ers. In fact, I had the Rams tonight, and I couldn't get back home in time to bet 49ers plus 8.5. So what did I do? I bet the Rams when they were down 14-0. And another huge takeaway, and probably the biggest takeaway of this game, is taking the ball out of the hands of Matt Stafford on that 4th and 1. Kyren Williams is having a great game despite fumbling on the goal line and despite having a couple other problems. That 4th and 1 call is maybe the worst play call of the year so far. Why are you taking the balls out of Matthew Stafford's hand? First of all, he has 389 passing yards tonight. You have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. You have this really good receiving core. Tutu Atwell, you can even add into that. Why are you moving away from Matt Stafford and not letting him throw the ball on 4th and 1? You would have converted that 4th and 1. Instead, you let 2 timeouts completely overtake your sense of thinking. And Sean McVay, one of the very best coaches in the NFL, has a huge blunder on 4th and 1. You pass the ball in that situation. It's pretty clear and it's pretty evident to anyone with a brain and a mind. And we all know Sean McVay has one of the biggest and brightest minds in football, but clearly this was a glimpse in the Matrix and a blimp in the Matrix with this decision on 4th and 1. You pass the fucking ball. Pretty clear, pretty evident, but what does he do? He runs the ball with Kyren Williams, who is not a bruiser. Yes, he is a more than capable and more than above average running back, but 4th and 1, he is not fucking Derrick Henry or one of these other big bruisers, Jonathan Taylor, or James Cook, who is shifty and can somehow get a first down. Instead, Kyren Williams runs straight into his right tackle and straight into a bunch of 49ers, a bunch of red jerseys. So that 4th down call was despicable on all fronts. If it wasn't for New Mexico State, I would have had a shitty night. But thank God for Thursday night college football. But the Rams really blew it. They should really, I mean, they really should have lost last week. They moved to 3-2. They should be like 2-3, arguably. They arguably should have lost to the Colts last week if it wasn't for a Jonathan Taylor touchdown getting called back and a A.D. Mitchell touchdown that ended up being a touchback. So listen, I'm no way am I giving up on the Rams, especially due to the Sean McVay. Despite this blunder of a coaching decision tonight, they have too great of a weapons, and Matthew Stafford should be in the MVP conversation because he was terrific tonight, and they took it out of his hands. Which, if I'm Matthew Stafford, I'm frustrated, but at the end of the day, he has Super Bowl, so he can sleep well at night. But Puka Nacua continues to dominate, and Devontae Adams was terrific tonight, and the 49ers continue to shock. So shout out to the 49ers, man, because They are continuing to subvert my expectations, and honestly, probably everyone else's in the league, because they are severely injured. They lost Bosa for the season. They lost Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall for this game, and somehow they pulled it off, throwing to Kendrick Bourne and all these Patriot rejects. And it was some performance, man. Kyle Shanahan versus Sean McVay continues to be the best head coaching matchup in the league, because those two dudes are just so gifted, both offensively and just overall. So that game was terrific tonight. I didn't expect that game to be good, and neither did Vegas. So that was a terrific game. It went over, and it was a great game to watch. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that game, but let's get into week 5. We go back across the pond to Dublin. Vikings versus the Browns. The Browns are underdogs in Dublin. And last week we saw a whole bunch of Steelers fans in Dublin. Steelers fans has left. I think we're going to see a whole bunch of Minnesota Vikings fans in London. And parts of me are saying this. Joe Flacco, benched, is Dylan Gabriel in. Quinshon Junkins been really good for the Browns. The Browns defense is terrific. This is a defensive battle. Vikings defense versus the Browns defense. Which defense is better, or which defense can be more effective in this game? That that is the biggest. That's the biggest matchup in this game. The battle of the trenches. One O line versus another O line. The Vikings O line is severely banged up, but yet somehow the Vikings are minus 4.5 against the Browns. I assume that's because a rookie is starting at quarterback for the Browns, but at the end of the day, Carson Wentz is starting at quarterback for the Vikings. And the only advantage the Vikings have here, in my opinion, is that they stayed a week in Dublin. So this is a trap game. This is a trap game and a hard game to pick, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't want to be a part of this game at all. But if I had to pick a side, I am leaning the Browns plus 4.5 underdogs in Dublin, despite them traveling to Dublin this week and the Vikings staying in Dublin for a week. The Vikings have been in Dublin for 2 weeks now. The Browns are now going to Dublin for the first time and going overseas. So the Vikings should have that advantage. However, am I going to bet the Vikings this week? I learned my lesson last week. I fucking hate Carson Wentz. And it wasn't his fault last week. The O line got banged up last week, and the Steelers continue to be the most lucky team in the NFL. I mean, two of the Viking starters got injured severely last week, and that wrecked the entire Vikings game plan. And the Steelers defense, I predicted to be good on paper going into this year. That is not a good defense, and the Vikings couldn't do anything. And now they're facing a defense that is really good. I favor plus 4.5 Browns, and I favor the under in this game, which both of those picks seem so chalky and so obvious that they're not going to hit probably. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game had 0 touchdowns. Obviously, there's going to be a touchdown in this game, but that's the type of game it is. A rookie quarterback versus Carson Wentz. I mean, the only way I favor the Vikings is their defense is good, and they have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Mason and Jordan Addison. So, yes, the Vikings have better weapons, but I think the Browns defense is that good, and I do think there will be some sort of spark and improvement with the rookie Dylan Gabriel this week, despite it being a tough matchup for Dylan Gabriel in his first NFL start against a touted Vikings defense. So, in all reality, this should be a game that the Vikings win and get back on the win column, because they're facing a rookie quarterback and Brian Flores is a DC, and this defense is so good. But I see the Browns covering plus 4.5. I see this game going under, and I would not be surprised if the Browns win outright, despite the Vikings being doubling for 2 weeks and this being the first week the Browns are in Dublin. So I have the Browns plus 4.5. I have the under, but honestly, I don't even want to be a part of this game. Moving on. Another tremendously weird game that is hard to wrap your head around. So I picked the Panthers last week against the Patriots. I bought a little bit into the Panthers blowing out the Falcons, and honestly, I was fed up with what I was seeing from the Patriots in the week prior. Now we get the Dolphins going into Carolina. Carolina returns back home after blowing out the Falcons and getting blown out by the Patriots in the week following. And now we get to see the Tyreek Hill as Miami Dolphins going into Carolina. And I have to pick the Dolphins here. I just have to. The Panthers are dead to me. I do see this kind of being a fun game. I do think McMillan gets on the board for the first half of the season. I think he scores a touchdown. But ultimately, yes, the Panthers have J.C. Horn. I do like the explosiveness of Miami's offense. A-Chain. I do like Washington, Malik Washington, Westbrook Akine, Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller with 2 touchdowns Monday night. I got the Dolphins here, and I'm not confident because it's Miami Dolphins and they're playing the Carolina Panthers. These two teams are hard to wrap your head around, hard to predict, but I trust Mike McDaniel. I trust Tua Tagovailoa, as crazy as that might sound, and I do think the Miami Dolphins have a better defense. But would I be surprised if the Panthers somehow won this game? No. But I think the Dolphins win this game. And honestly, if the Dolphins lose this game, you might see McDaniel and Greer out after this game. But they might get the benefit of the doubt because Tyreek Hill just got injured. If Tyreek Hill was definitely playing, I'm definitely picking the Dolphins here. But I got the Dolphins still. I'm not picking the fucking Panthers ever again this year, unless it's against their division opponent, not the Bucks or uh, the Falcons again in Atlanta. But maybe the Saints I'll pick them against too, even though I kind of like the Saints. So I got the Dolphins winning this game. I see Waddle and McMillan get on the board this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if the over hit in this game. I think it might be a shootout, if not a blowout, in one way or another. So Dolphins win this game, and they move on to 2-3. Moving on, Broncos going into Philadelphia. The Eagles are cut from the Chiefs' cloth. They just find ways to win, whether it's impressive or whether it's not. We got an impressive Rams win. Second half, amazing performance, amazing comeback, and a blocked field goal ended up winning them that game. And then last week, impressive first half performance against the Bucks. Yes, it's an injured Bucks, but nonetheless an impressive performance. And then we get Jalen Hurts with 0 completions in the second half. He threw 8 passes and completed 0. So that is troubling. But they are finding ways to win this game, and I think they somehow find a way to win this game. I think this Eagles defense will cause problems for Bo Nix, who's already struggling this year despite having a good game against the Bengals, who are dead. But I think the Eagles somehow find a way to win this game, and they somehow come on top. Like, they are cut from the Chiefs last year. The Chiefs were in so many one-possession games. They were in so many games they deserved to lose last year, and they still somehow won. And they somehow made the Super Bowl. So I got the Eagles winning this game, despite all my might wanting to pick the Broncos because the Broncos defense is so good. I just cannot trust Bo Nix and that offense. Despite me really liking RJ Harvey, really liking Javonte Williams, really liking Cortland Sutton, I just am not trusting Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, and Evan Ingram, who's kind of been silent this year. So I have the Eagles somehow finding a win in this game, just like they have been this entire season. Whether it's impressive or not, they find a way to win, and that's a caliber and a cloth cut from a Super Bowl winning team like they were last year. So Eagles win, they find a way, and they probably cover. Moving on, Raiders versus the Colts. What a weird game. Raiders looked better last week against the Bears. Ashton Genty finally got it going. He got back in his Michael Myers stance, and the run game looked great. He looked great in the receiving game as well. However, Geno Smith is having a horrible season. He has the most interceptions this year. He is horrible. This Colts defense is opportunistic. The Raiders O line is not a really good O line at all. They stink in pass block. They stink in run block. I don't trust them this week against the Colts defense that is opportunistic. I do think this is a high scoring game, but I do think the Colts win. I came away more impressed with the Colts in the loss against the Rams last week. Despite the Rams losing this week, it could take away from stock I had in that game last week against the Colts, but I was impressed by the Colts last week. I like their offense. I love their O line. I love Jonathan Taylor, and I love Tyler Warren. And I think this defense is opportunistic, and they are a spunky defense. I like Shane Steichen, and I'm not trusting Geno Smith at all. And Brock Bowers is injured and not the same player he was last year due to his injury. Give me the Colts. I think they cover, and I think this is a high-scoring game. I think Jonathan Taylor has a great game. I think he dominates the line of scrimmage, and I think this O-line bullies the trenches of the Raiders O-line, despite Max Crosby looking like the best NFL player last week in the world. Max Crosby was ridiculously dominant last week against the Bears O-line. However, the Colts O-line is way better, and I think in the battle of the trenches this week, Colts win on both sides, despite the Raiders having the best player on the D-line. Um, but I think the Colts win on the trenches, and I think that defense forces 1 to 2 picks from Geno Smith because he can't keep the ball to his offense and to himself. That man is struggling right now. And I had the take of the Seahawks downgraded at quarterback with Sam Darnold. That is not true through 4 weeks. The Raiders upgraded at quarterback because their QB room was so bad last year, but the Seahawks looking like they upgraded. Sam Darnold has looked really good, but I'm not touching or trusting the Raiders, despite how much I like Jacoby Myers and despite how much I like Pete Carroll and despite how much I like Ashton Genty. I am not trusting Geno Smith this year, and everything he's shown you this year should tell you the same thing. Give me the Colts here. I think they win, and I think this is a high scoring game. Moving on. Cowboys coming off a 40-40 tie against assumingly one of the best teams in the NFL in the Packers, which might not be the case anymore. And they faced one of the most undisciplined teams and one of the worst coach teams in the NFL, despite me really liking Aaron Glenn, in the Jets. The Dallas Cowboys go to MetLife and face the New York Jets, the New Jersey Jets. And They are a -2.5 favorite in MetLife, which doesn't make any sense. This should be a way higher spread. I know the Cowboys don't have CeeDee Lamb anymore. I know they might not have Tyler Booker this week, but how in the hell are they only -2.5 favorites? Did no one watch that Monday night game against the Dolphins for the Jets? I know the NFL is different week in, week out, any given Sunday. It's the famous slogan. Fuck no, dude. The Jets are horrible. Their defense, which is supposed to be the best part of their team, has not shown up at all yet. Sauce Gardner looks so bad. That secondary looks bad. Sauce Gardner is getting busted up week in, week out. And for a man who was supposed to be one of the best corners, especially after his rookie season, he's been quite underwhelming since then. He's most famous now for being on an Aiden Ross stream and fucking and dating Ice Spice. Man, Dak Prescott's playing some of the best football of his career. I think the Cowboys are good, despite me thinking they were going to be a bad team this year. Like it's a common thing said this year that they are low value Bengals, and it's looking that way. And this offense is really humming. Javonte Williams is having a fucking a return to his prime season. He looks really good for the Cowboys. Jaden Blue, the rookie from Texas, is making his debut this game. George Pickens looking like a wide receiver one. It looks like everything he's wanted. Uh, Ferguson looks really great. I mean, Turpin and Dak's playing the best football of his career. And listen, this is going to be a shootout again. I think there's actually going to be quite a bit of shootouts this Sunday. And both of these defenses are not good. However, I am not trusting Justin Fields to throw the ball. Justin Fields is a really, really great runner. He's might be a top 3 running quarterback in the NFL, but he can't pass the ball. And I love Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's a top 5 wide receiver. And I obviously think Garrett Wilson gets in the end zone this week because that secondary for the Cowboys is bad, but this is going to be a similar game to the Steelers and Jets game 1 of the season. This is going to be a shootout. It's probably going to come down to the wire, and I think the Cowboys win by 3 or more, meaning they cover. I think the Cowboys are actually good. Their offense is good without CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott's playing some of the best football of the year. And I actually kind of like their new head coach, and I think the Cowboys continue to exceed expectations and subvert expectations. Give me the Dallas Cowboys this week. And this should not be surprising to anyone who's watched the Jets play football because that performance against the Dolphins Monday night was one of the worst football performances of the year. Just egregious, undisciplined, and horrible coaching. Horrible, 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 horrible. And I'm talking from experience because I bet the fucking Jets last Monday and I hated myself for it. Moving on. Another tough game. Lamar Jackson isn't playing. Cooper Rush is in at quarterback. The Ravens are banged up on defense, and the Texans are going into Baltimore. Um, the Ravens can go to 1-4 this week, um, and I'm leaning that way. And this is a trap game. If it wasn't for Nico Collins, Woody Marks, and C.J. Stroud, this offense is fucking disgusting to watch. Their O line is some of the worst O line you'll ever see in your lifetime. I mean, poor C.J. Stroud. Listen, he's not as good as he was his rookie year, but man, this O line is disastrous, and it's definitely the main reason why this offense is so bad. But at the end of the day, this offense does have C.J. Stroud. It does have Christian Kirk. It does have Nico Collins, and it does have Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. It also has Dalton Schultz. And this Ravens defense that is already banged up, I don't see how this Texans defense doesn't show up and have some success against this Ravens defense. Now, the Ravens offense still has DeAndre Hopkins. It still has Dave Flowers. It still has Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, and it still has Derrick Henry. So I do think the Ravens offense will be more surprising to a lot of people this week, and I do think this team is going to be heavily reliant on the run, and them being heavily reliant on the run will open up the passing game for Cooper Rush ever so slightly. But am I trusting Cooper Rush here? No, I am not. And despite them having Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, Justice Hill, you name it, I am leaning the Texans here because I think the Texans defense is really good, and I think they are going to be stacking the box here, and they're going to make Cooper Rush defeat them. And I don't think Cooper Rush will be able to defeat them. The only way the Ravens win this game is if Derrick Henry looks how he did Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills, which I don't think is possible with the Texans defense. So, yes, this is chalky, and it's been a chalky slate of picks for me so far, but give me the Texans here. I just the Ravens, they might turn it around when Lamar comes back, but no Lamar means I am not taking the Ravens. So the Texans win this game mainly due to their defense, and I think their offense does see an uptick despite their horrible offensive line play, mainly due to Woody Marks' ability to catch the ball And I do think Nico Collins shows out and continues to prove he's one of the very best receivers in the NFL. Moving on. Another trap game. These games are tough to pick this week. Saints versus the Giants. The Giants are coming off a win against the Chargers. They're coming off an impressive game from Jackson Dart in his first start. He had that 90-yard drive, capped off with a rushing touchdown. The Giants just beat the Chargers, right? They should easily win against the Saints, right? That's what the NFL wants to make you think, and that's what the Vegas wants to make you think. However, I think this line is telling you how this game's going to play out. The Saints are -1.5 against the Giants in New Orleans, and as a Bills fan who just faced the Saints are not as nearly as bad as you might think. Yes, they're a bad team. Yes, it's a team led by Spencer Rattler. Yes, Spencer Rattler is 0-10 and starts for the Saints. I think he gets his first win here, and I do. And I might be overthinking this game, and I might be falling into a trap because you can talk yourself in either side of this game being a trap. I actually like some of the weapons the Saints have, and I actually think the D line for the Saints is pretty good. And I think the D lines for the Saints will cause some problems for Jackson Dart. I think this defense for the Saints is actually full of veterans, and they are full of hungry guys still fighting. I actually think Carl Granderson is great. I think Demario Davis is great, and there are some really really good players on the Saints defense. And not a lot of people will acknowledge that, but yes, the Saints team is bad, but I'm taking the Saints here. The Giants don't have Malik Neighbors; he's out for the year. That clears up some advantages on offense that the Giants have. So now they're going to rely on Wan'Dale Robinson and company and Cam Scatterboo and company. But I think Jackson Dart struggles here. I think this offense struggles here, and I think Spencer Rattler gets his first win of his NFL career. And honestly, I know Spencer Rattler only had 125 yards passing against the Bills last week, but Spencer Rattler is a mobile quarterback. He is actually a pretty interesting quarterback, and I like Spencer Rattler. I liked him in college at South Carolina, and I liked him at Oklahoma, but he was kind of a dick on that Netflix show that I never watched, but I saw clips of. So that's why everyone hates him. But I actually think Spencer Rattler gets his first W this week. And I think Jackson Dart, despite having a dreamlike start to his NFL career, struggles here due to the veteran leadership of that defense of the Saints and to the sneaky good weapons on offense for the Saints. The Saints offense ultimately has a decent O-line, and it has Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson, Kendre Miller, and Alvin Kamara. I think the Saints team is ever so slightly underrated. This is a bad team. It's going to be a team that has a high draft pick this year, but they win this game, and this is Spencer Rattler's first win in the NFL. And this is one of my most confident picks of the slate. I think this line is -1.5 for a reason, and I might be falling into a trap. But honestly, I think the people picking the Giants in a no-brainer pick, quote unquote, are also falling into a trap. So this is kind of like the Spider-Man meme. Who's in the trap? Is it me or you? I think it's everyone who's on the Giants. I'm on the Saints here. Give me the Saints. Moving on. The Arizona Cardinals are -8.5 in Arizona against the Tennessee Titans, who are definitively the worst team in the NFL at this point in week 5. The Titans are horrible. Brian Callahan is egregiously bad as a head coach. And honestly, the Titans just have nothing. L'Jarius Sneed is washed up, which is wild to see because of how good he was on the Chiefs. Cam Ward is a rookie. I like Cam Ward, and he said it perfectly. At this point, we're just ass. Everyone needs to get better. We just ass, bro. And the Titans are ass. This is a no-brainer. Despite Trey Benson being out, despite James Conner being out for the season, the Titans will lose this game, and they will get blown out. I have a hard time seeing them score more than 10 points. That's how bad they are. And Kyler Murray has a good game. Marvin Harrison Jr. has another good game. I think he scores again. And Michael Carter, who's filling in for Trey Benson, has a good game. Wouldn't be surprised if D. McCarty gets in the end zone as well. Former TCU football player. But the Cardinals win. Not much to talk about here. The Cardinals win. The Titans are horrible. Don't overthink it. The Titans lose this game convincingly so. This is a horrible team, the Titans. I don't know how the Titans win a game this year. I mean, it's any given Sunday. Any team can win at any moment. Don't see how the Titans win this game. I don't see how they win any games this year. And honestly, I thought the Saints were going to be the worst team of the year, but they aren't because I just picked them to win last. I just picked them to win last game. Titans lose, embarrassing so again, and I don't know how much longer Brian Callahan has as a head coach because that man is the worst head coach in the NFL. Moving on. The Tampa Bay Bucks, the bruised up Tampa Bay Bucks, going to Seattle against one of the best defenses in the league. Tampa Bay is the team that picked to make the Super Bowl this year, and I'm not giving up on that pick yet. But they are banged up. No Mike Evans, no Bucky Irvin. Completely takes away an element of that offense that is much needed in a game like this. The Seattle Seahawks are bad at home last season, and they won against the Saints this year, but the Saints are the Saints nonetheless. This is probably surprising to a lot of people who watch the channel, the very few of you, but I had the Seahawks win this game, and they move to 2-1 at home this year, and I think the 12 men are happy. I am impressed with this offense. I'm impressed with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's on my fantasy team. Shout out to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm impressed with the running back duo they got, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I like Cooper Kupp's element to this team, and I think this is a top three defense in the league. So I think they will force a couple turnovers from this Tampa Bay offense, and I do think they control Tampa Bay's offense, which is without Bucky Irving and Mike Evans. And listen, Emeka Ibuka's been really good this year, and I'm going to be surprised if he has a good game this game. But this is a lot to ask for from a rookie wide receiver, and he seems like a guy who's up to the task and really game. But I don't like the Bucks here at all. As a guy who's really high on the Bucks this year, I know they got Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin back. That should help them out a little bit, but Bucky Irvin being gone is a big piece for me. I think Bucky Irvin is one of the very best running backs in the NFL, and him being gone means I'm off it. So give me the Seahawks, despite their O line being bad, and despite me really liking the Bucks defense. I think the Seahawks defense is the better defense and will hold Tampa Bay Bucks to way less points than they are accustomed to. And I think the Seahawks offense, despite having a bad O line, is an impressive one. And I think Najigba has a big day. I think Cooper Kupp has a good day. And I think Kenneth Walker in the receiving game has a big day. So give me the Seattle Seahawks. They win in Seattle, and they continue to turn around that home notion that they are not good at Seattle anymore, and the Seattle no longer has a 12th man advantage, because I think this year they bring back that notion, despite them teetering off later in the season, as I will predict in the upcoming weeks. But moving on, the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the NFL and one of the hottest teams in the NFL, going to Cincinnati, who might be the most dead team in the NFL. No Joe Burrow means no fun. No Joe Burrow means no Jamar Chase and no T. Higgins being the best wide receiver duo in the league. And Jake Browning has been absolutely horrible. The Lions are minus 10.5 for a reason. The Lions will abuse the Bengals defense in any which way. The Bengals defense is a feisty defense. It's a bad defense, but it's a feisty defense when it comes to Joe Burrow playing. But Joe Burrow isn't playing. It's Jake Browning. And you can tell this defense is not motivated to do anything of note because their guy is not quarterback. I think Gibbs gets in the end zone this game. I think Laporta gets in the end zone this game. I think Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown might get in the end zone this game. And listen, the over is 48.5. I can see this going over. And listen, I can see Jamar Chase even getting on the board because the weakest parts of this team for the Lions is their corner with Terry Arnold. But I do think this defense on the Lions is pretty goddamn good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they turn the ball over and maybe even score a defensive touchdown due to Jake Browning. And honestly, the Cincinnati Bengals, you don't even have to stack the box against them. Their run game this year is one of the worst run games you'll see as an NFL fan, as a football watcher. The run game they got this year is horrible. Their O-line is egregiously bad. Watching that Monday night game, their O-line was stinky. I know they're playing the Broncos, but holy cow. I don't know if Burrow would have had any time to pass the ball. Obviously, he would have made a difference, but this O-line, yes, has been addressed, but it's not been addressed good enough. Evidently so. So the Lions win any which way, and it's chalky, but the Lions probably win, and they probably cover quite easily. Don't know if I'll touch it because that's a huge line in the NFL, and I can see maybe a backdoor cover. But the Lions are a team that don't take their foot off the gas. I mean, we saw what they did against their former OC and Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are a pretty goddamn good team, and they dropped 52 on them. So Lions win. And if you're picking the Bengals this week, you either know something that I don't, or you are a genius, and or you're just an idiot. Anyway, moving on. Jaden Daniels is back for the Commanders. The Chargers are coming back after a loss in MetLife to the Giants. The rookie starter. There's two big injuries to the O line. They didn't have Slater to start the year, but now they don't have Joe Alt. Um, Amarian Hampton, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Loud McConkey, who's been underwhelming this year, and Quentin Johnson, who's been quietly a top 10 wide receiver this year. Um, Listen, this is another trap game. People are going to be like, hey, the Chargers lost to the Giants. They got to lose to the Commanders, right? Right? And I might be falling into that trap because, listen, this is also another shootout, I think. The Chargers defense is really good, but listen, Marcus Mariota went 1-1 in his two starts. He beat the Raiders, lost to the Falcons at home, but Jaden Daniels is back. I don't know if Terry McLaurin is going to be back this week. Let me check. I don't think Terry McLaurin is going to be back. And Debo Samuel is like starting to be questionable. I think people are going to be like, hey, the Chargers have to bounce back this week because they lost to the Giants, but also their offensive line is banged up. But do I think this D line on the Commanders is going to do some damage? They could. I mean, Herbert was running for his life last week, but the Giants have a really good D line, despite it not being great statistically this year. They do have a good D line. And listen, every fiber of my body wants to pick the Commanders because I think I picked a favorite in this entire 4 o'clock slate, but really, I really don't see how that's not the case. I think the Chargers win this game. I think I trust the Chargers offense more at this point. I think Debo's been really great for the Chargers this year, but I think Janie Daniels' his first game back. He's not 100% healthy yet. I think Herbert is playing some incredible ball. I think he continues to play some incredible ball. And ultimately, the wide receivers on the Chargers are too much for this Washington Commanders secondary. We saw the wide receiver core of the Falcons last week just completely obliterate the Commanders secondary. Yes, the Falcons have Drake London, but Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, and Keenan Allen are fucking really good wide receivers, and they should tear up this secondary of the Commanders. I am curious how this O line of the Chargers look with injuries, but I might regret this. Either the Commanders or the Bucks are winning in this slate, but I'm picking against both of them. So obviously one of these picks or both of these picks will go down in infamy as bad picks, but I'm going with the Chargers. So give me the Chargers here. I think they win. I think their offense is enough to get the job done despite their offensive line issues, and I do think their defense is pretty goddamn good. So Jaden Daniels is coming back. He doesn't have Terry McLaurin, and he might not even have Debo Samuel. So give me the Chargers to beat the Commanders in LA. And that is it for the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock slate. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are coming off a win where they accidentally dropped 31 points. They beat the Saints in Buffalo 31-19, and we are back in Buffalo again against division foe. Once our big brother in the New England Patriots. Um, Josh is 7-3 in his career against the Patriots, I believe, or at least in his last 10 starts. And honestly, I don't know what it is. The Bills are minus 8.5 this week in Buffalo. That feels too short to me. It was originally minus 10.5. I think Milano might be back this week. I saw him practicing. I don't think Ed Oliver's gonna be back until after the bye. I don't know. I think this is another statement win for Josh in a primetime game. I think Josh shows out in this game, and he clearly and deservedly proves he is once again on pace to win another MVP. There's something about primetime games, and I don't know the exact stat yet. I feel like we do really good in night games against New England Patriots recently. Whether it was Thursday night football, Monday night football, or Sunday night football, I feel like we won all those at night against the Patriots. And I think we blow out the Patriots here. I think it gets disgusting. I think we blow the fuck out of the Patriots. Listen, Drake May had some good moments against us last year, and ultimately we won. I know we lost the game against Joe Milton in the last game of the year, but there were some moments from Drake May last year where it was like, hey man, you're cooking a little bit. But listen, I'm not buying on this Patriots team. I think everyone is going to be on plus 8.5 this week because they think the Patriots are a good team after the 42-6 victory against the Panthers. I'm not a guy who's totally buying into blowouts against bad teams. So I think the Bills blow out the Patriots. Stephon Diggs is returning home, which is bittersweet for me. I wanted him gone towards the end of his tenure at the Bills, but seeing him in a Patriots jersey is going to feel weird. And then Matt Collins, former Bill, returns to the Buffalo Bills after a great last year for him in Buffalo. I wish he was still a Buffalo Bill, but sadly, he's with the Sith now in the New England Patriots. I think the Bills blow out the Patriots here. I think Keon Coleman shows Stephon Diggs why the Bills don't need Stephon Diggs anymore. And I think James Cook and Josh Allen score touchdowns. And I think Kincaid continues to be hot. I think the Bills absolutely destroy the Patriots. I think this might be 42-13. I think it might be 49-13. I think the Bills blow out the Patriots, and I think this is a definitive win of the Buffalo Bills season and showing everyone, hey, we are here. This is MVP Josh Allen. This is the Buffalo Bills. And I think the defense actually shows out. Despite the Patriots having some really interesting elements on offense that could possibly cause problems for the Buffalo Bills, I do not trust this run game, whether it's Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, or Antonio Gibson. Don't trust this run game. I think our D-line comes into form this week. Joey Bosa, Rex Havoc, maybe force another fumble. I hope our secondary has a good week this week, though, because our run defense isn't good and then our secondary is a little spotty. but I think we are amped for this game. I think Josh Allen and the boys are pissed and ready to go against Stephon Diggs because we lost against Stephon Diggs last year and then he tore his ACL, but I think this is going to be different. I think Stephon Diggs is going to come here and end up missing and regretting how his career in Buffalo turned out, considering how loved he was. I mean, Stephon Diggs was loved dearly here in Buffalo, and he ruined it at the end. He started turning against Josh Allen and making all these subliminal statements against Josh Allen. You don't think Josh Allen and Sean McDermott are pissed about that? You don't think Josh Allen and Sean McDermott are pissed about how Stephon Diggs ended his tenure here in Buffalo? I think they are. And I think they prove it. This is a prove it week for the Bills. People are gonna be like, "Oh, they barely beat the Saints." We beat them 31-19, and we accidentally dropped 31 points. I think we cook here. I think we might see a similar performance to what we got in the Patriots in the playoffs a couple years ago, where we scored on every possession, except for the last one, I think. So I think the fucking Patriots get blown out here. I do want to give out a couple touchdown score picks. I did say I think Keon Coleman, Josh Allen, and James Cook score. I could see both. I could see Josh Palmer finally getting in as well, but we haven't really been getting him involved too much. I wouldn't be surprised if Dawson Knox gets in here somehow. I think a whole bunch of people score this game. The usual suspects, James Cook and Josh Allen, but I do think Keon Coleman gets in the end zone for the first time since week one, and he proves to everyone, hey, yeah, I'm wide receiver one now, despite how great Khalil Shakir is. But I know Christian Gonzalez is back for the Patriots. Don't really care. Don't really care. We have enough weapons on offense that will cause problems for this defense. I'm telling you. The Patriots are not good. They are not good. And I think the Bills know that. And I think the Bills are amped as fuck to play the New England Patriots. People are saying Drake May is the new Josh Allen. Maybe even better. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? Bro, this Bills defense and this team offense, this entire Bills offense and team has an agenda and has fuel to fucking obliterate this team. They don't want to see Stephon Diggs back and win another game against Buffalo Bills with another team. They want to fucking prove a point to Stephon Diggs like, hey, buddy, you're going to miss this. You're going to miss this. You're going to miss us winning a Super Bowl this year. And that's all because you got too greedy and you had this diva personality that prevented you from winning a Super Bowl with us. So I think the Bills blow out the Patriots in an extravagant way. And that is the end of Sunday Night Football. That is the end of the Sunday slate. So let me tell you what I have for Sunday, then I'll talk about the Monday night game real quick. So I have the Browns covering or maybe even winning outright against the Vikings in Dublin. I have the Eagles somehow winning and finding a way to win. I have the Dolphins winning in Carolina. I have the Colts winning in Indianapolis against the Raiders. I have the Cowboys keeping up and getting hot against the Jets. I think the Texans win against the Lamar Jackson-less and banged up Ravens. I think the Saints win at home against the Giants. I think the Cardinals win against the worst team in the NFL and the Titans. I think the Seattle Seahawks move to 2-1 at home against the Bucks. I think the Lions going to Cincinnati against a dead team in the Bengals. I think the Chargers sneak out a win against the Commanders. And I think the Bills blow out the Patriots Sunday Night Football. So that is my Sunday picks. And here's my Monday night pick. And it was a chalky. I don't think I picked a single under. I think the only underdog I picked on the Sunday slate is the fucking Browns. So that is crazy. But usually I'm more like accepting of teams as underdogs, and that is honestly my downfall as a guy who picks NFL games and bets games. But this is the underdog of the week, and maybe a lock of the week for me on Monday Night Football. Everyone is high on the Chiefs after beating the Ravens, the banged up Ravens. Everyone is high on it. Listen, don't get me wrong. Mahomes looked great for the first time in a really long time. 4 touchdowns, completely dominated that Ravens defense and blew them out, which was surprising. However, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Kansas City Chiefs are going into Jacksonville Monday night, and this defense, they only had 9 turnovers last year. They only forced 9 turnovers last year. They forced 13 turnovers this year through 4 games. That's a crazy stat. This Jaguars defense is fucking good. Like, really good. They're opportunistic. They just turn the ball over. And the worst part about this Jacksonville team is Trevor Lawrence has not been great this year. And his best game was played last week. And I think he continues to turn up his quality of play. I think the Jaguars win. Low-key, the Jaguars have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Travis Etienne is cooking, dude. He has the most yards per carry in the first half, and I think he has the most yards per carry in the second half throughout the entirety of the NFL. And I do think Brian Thomas Jr. cooks this week. Despite how good the Chiefs defense is really on paper, this is a spot where the Chiefs disappoint people. They're a -3 going to Jacksonville. I think the Jaguars win. The Jaguars are my most bet team of the year so far, and they're my most picked team of the year so far. I think the Jaguars get it done here, and I think ETN continues to cook. I think I think Brian Thomas Jr. finally finds his way this year, and I think Travis Hunter might even score a touchdown this game, whether it's defensively or offensively. I think Pat Mahomes throws a pick or two this game too, just because of how opportunistic and turnover worthy this defense is. So I think this is a fun game. I think this is an interesting game, and I think the Jags prevail somehow. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars Monday Night Football in a great game because the night before is going to be a bad game. It's going to be a blowout. Um, so the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Kansas City Chiefs after the Chiefs win against the Ravens last week. The Chiefs fall to 2-3. The Jaguars move to 4-1. So that is it for week 5 of the NFL. Cherish these weeks, boys. I'm telling you, they go by quick. Cherish these fucking weeks. It is getting late early. Cherish these weeks. We are in the pinnacle of sports season right now. We have a UFC pay-per-view card this weekend. We have MLB baseball playoffs, which I'm not a big baseball guy at all, but the playoffs for baseball are terrific. And then we have Sunday football, and then we have fucking college football. We are living the life right now, boys. Cherish these fucking weeks. I am telling you. But anyway, it is your boy Matt Talk Sports. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talk Sports. Follow me at Matt Talk Films if you want to hear some of my film content. I really take pride in my film content. I also take pride in my sports content. But follow me everywhere at Matt Talks Films. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talk Sports. You know the vibes. It is your boy Matt Talk Sports. Let's have a great weekend. Let's have a great gambling weekend. And let's win some money. Go Bills. They blow out the Patriots this Sunday. Mark my words. 42-13, 49-13. One of those scores is the fucking answer. I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys Monday morning, I believe, because I put my video out late this week, and honestly, I didn't even release any clips from my video, which is bad for a new and beginning YouTuber. But listen, everyone gets lazy once in a while, and I put that video out way too late to give out clips on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. So Monday morning, you will get a video from me breaking down the NFL. And I love you guys. Anyone who's watching this video, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. I'll see you guys on the flip side.